Three, two, one.
Welcome to the fantasy football. Sorry, happy. I can't even. I hit record and I don't even know how to what show we're on here. Happy Hour Betting Show. I am your host, Ricky Valero. We like to thank you guys for coming back this week. Considering last week, Clarkson and I on Saturday we recorded an entire show and somebody didn't press record. That somebody would be me. But as we do each and every week, we are going to break down our favorite bets for the week that is week 14 of the NFL. We're going to do a quick recap of our week 13 picks, and then we'll quickly dive into our week 14. We're recording on a Sunday, which is a little bit different, but I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? The spreads have moved here, there, and everywhere, but I've really teeter-totted back and forth this week, but I'm excited to see what Clarkson and I haven't cooked up this week for you guys. As always, I'm joined by Clarkson. How are you, bud?
Oh, doing all right this morning. Christmas party season. That's what we did last night. So drove all the way out to Bellevue and went to a friend's Christmas party.
That sounds like fun.
It's a 45-minute drive.
I was being sarcastic. Definitely being sarcastic. But last week we had a strong week. Units. Things looked really, really good for a long period of time for quite a few of my bets until they didn't anymore. But we went 7-5 last week on the week. Clarkson, break down your week 12 review.
Went 4-2 last week. It's really frustrating. I think I've fade my locks is all I'm going to say now. My 4-2, Garrett Wilson over 58.5 receiving yards. I looked at his total again. I think they're putting him up closer to 70 yards now per week. So we got that one in before they started spiking his totals up. Lions money line, that should have probably been my lock. I can't believe, they weren't even favored in that game. But anyway, Steelers Falcons under 43.5. This one I was sweating there at the end. Thank you to Minkah Fitzpatrick for not taking that pick into the end zone and just going out of bounds. That was awesome. Love you for that. Josh Jacobs over 90.5 rushing yards. That was another win. I'm shocked. I didn't look at it this week or what it was for Thursday, but I assume that his total was above 100 at this point.
Like 101, I think. Or something.
Yeah, so he didn't get it this week. I saw that he had 99 rushing yards. Dolphins plus 4.5 was a huge L. They got beat by 2 touchdowns, I think, by the 49ers. And then Nick Chubb over 94.5 rushing yards. I don't know what the Browns are doing. You have one of the best backs in football, a quarterback who hasn't played in 2 years. Yeah, let's let him throw the ball 25 times and then, complete 55% of his passes. It's wild to me. I mean, I know they didn't need to run the ball a ton or throw the ball around a ton because they had 2 defensive touchdowns and a punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, but still, that one was frustrating. He ended up at 80, and underachieving running backs are my kryptonite in fantasy football this year, and Nick Chubb last week was one of them.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting week. He went 4-2, which means I went 3-3. Browns minus 2.5 over 9.5 first half points parlay. I can't believe that. You know what I mean? I really can't believe I didn't hit this points in the first half and then score the rest in the second half, which were all defensive or special teams touchdowns. So if you had them in fantasy last week, they absolutely slayed. But Vikings minus 2.5 was my lock. I'm on a nice little streak here with my locks. I like it a lot. My lock hit relatively well. Chiefs money line. Well, looked really good until it didn't. Speaking of looking good till it didn't, Derek Carr plus 35.5 yards over Herbert. I think he finished with 46, I think it was, versus Herbert, which it's perfectly fine for 3.5 quarters for it to look good. But then when the Raiders go up 2 touchdowns, of course, all the Chargers are going to do is throw the football. So then, of course, I had to face that battle. And then, of course, you had the Packers minus 2.5, which looks scary in the first half, but the Bears look like garbage. We're getting closer and closer to the Bears under hitting, which is something that I'm profoundly proud of. This season, 3-10.
How's that Giants bet looking?
Hey, you bet it too, so I don't know. Actually, I said they were under 7.5. They're still at 7 wins. So, I know I had another bet that I think it was like under 6.5, but they might not win another game all year. I'd be happy. It'd be hilarious, honestly.
Yeah.
But with that, and then my last bet was AJ Brown over 76.5 receiving yards against the Titans, which was just an absolutely no-brainer bet, in my opinion, because I figured he'd smash. I didn't realize he'd smash so hard that he'd get a GM fired, but he did. He did do that. But yeah, last week, like I said, we went 7-5 last week. We're up 2 units on the season. We're hovering at 72, 55, and 3, up 20 units. It's a pretty solid season so far. You know what I mean? If we can get 3 games up this week, we'll be hovering around 20 games above 500, which we love that number quite a bit. As I mentioned before we dive into week 14, next week's going to be the fun week. We are going to go 10 picks deep. Each of us, we're going to try to find, as all the NFL games will be back next week too. So that's
Thankfully.
That's something awesome, because it's a short week, because we have 6 teams on buys. So we're some of the games are going to be light this week. But with that being said, it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a challenging week. We could be up 20 games going into next week, and then be at 500 by the end of the week because of how bad we looked. But as I think I get a little bit deeper into some of these plays and some of these places where you can find, including these head-to-head matchups, I'm really having way too much fun with, and I really like that a lot. So with that being said, we're going to move right into our week 14 picks. If it's a little loud in the background, my wife decided to vacuum in the middle of me podcasting. So, guys, quite a bit. Don't worry, there's no UFO coming to get me. But like we do each week, we'll go back and forth, give you each of our 6 picks until we're done, and then we're going to recap with all of our picks. So Clarkson, kick us off with week 14.
All right, my first pick, it's a prop bet going against another running back prop. DeAndre Swift over 63.5 rushing plus receiving yards against the Vikings. Swift finally looked like the guy that everybody drafted in the first round and last week. And to be completely honest, Ricky understands this. He knows this. He knows this sentiment that I'm about to say. The Vikings defense stinks. They're giving up, I think, 150-something rushing yards a game. I don't care if Jamal Williams scores 4 touchdowns from 1 yard out. DeAndre Swift is going to get to 63.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Hit the over.
Yeah, he's looked really good. I like what they've done with him, because at first I was like, did they forget that he existed on this football team? Like, what was really the play here? And to be honest, at the end of the day, they're just easing him in, which is something more teams should do with their backs. Obviously, they benefit from having another back in Jamal Williams that's really good at football too. They complement each other really well. I would love Jamal Williams to get 4 rushing touchdowns today, if I'm being honest with you guys. Like, I need that in the worst slate this week. We got guys on buys. We got Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones on buys, and we need to win this week, or we're not going to be in our own playoffs here. But with that being said, I'm going to start off with the one that I'm not the 100% confident in, but we're going to run with it anyway, and that's the Seahawks -3. Look, I saw this week on Twitter where it said that the longtime practice field dog that hung out on the field with them, with the Seahawks team during practice for a long period of time, he passed away this week. Very sorry to hear that, but that just to me means that this team's going to come out and win this football game for the dog. We got to win for the dog, right? You know what I mean? I feel
Absolutely.
like it happens. I am a little nervous Kenneth Walker's out, but I'm hoping that some of the other pieces can kind of come up and step up. And the Carolina Panthers just aren't very good. You know what I mean? Like Sam Darnold stinks. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way around to say that. But, yeah, give me the Seahawks -3 as my first pick.
Cool. I hope that hits, because I picked their defense up after I dropped the Vikings defense. My next pick, Texans Cowboys over 7.5 in the first quarter. I don't know why I like this bet as much as I do. I was looking around trying to find something because we were, like Ricky said, we got 6 teams on bye this week. So I was trying to find a 6th pick. And then I went to this game. I was like, man, this total's high as hell. Texans probably aren't going to score a bunch of points. I mean, if we want to hit the over on this, the Cowboys are just going to have to, go off. And then it could end up being like what happened with the Dolphins. They could pull all their starters at fucking halftime, and then your over is not going to hit. So that's where I went to the first quarter total, and I was like, over 7.5 seems pretty low to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really explain why I like this much, but you get the Cowboys score 10 points in the first quarter. That's easy. I don't think the Texans are going to contribute anything to that whatsoever. But I think the Cowboys can score more than 7.5 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Well, I'm really upset because I planted my flag on the 49ers and I said they were the best. I thought they were the best team all the way around in football. And Jimmy G's hurt, so now we've got Big Cock Brock playing now, which I really hope loses this week because, I'm a Tom Brady fan. That's why. All right, so my next pick, I've got some parlays here that I'm playing around with this week. I'm going back to the well on a couple different picks, and I got 2 of them that I'm actually going back to again this week after not playing with them after using them last week as well, including my lock. But one of my parlays is a 6.5 point teaser. I'm going to run the numbers real quick just to make sure that I'm still correct in these numbers being where it was, because I know the line had shifted in one of these games, but which could make my line even sexier if we're being honest with you guys. All right, so 6.5 point teaser minus 130. That gives me. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. Minus 9.5. It's going to take them down to -3, and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go from minus 8.5 to -2. That teaser right there gets you at minus 130. I like that bet a lot. I think the Bills win this game, and I think my colleague here understands the smart side of the game on the flip side of it, and he'll talk about that in a bet in a little bit, but. For me personally, I still think the Bills win. The Chiefs coming off of a loss is something that the Chiefs are very, very dangerous on. So I really like them a whole lot this week, and I have another bet with the Chiefs here in a little bit. But like I said, give me the Bills -3, Chiefs -2 comes out to minus 130 on a 6.5 point teaser. So I like this one a lot. Like I said, on top of that, the Bills need this game because they're 1-2 in the division. I didn't realize that until when I was looking at this. They're 1-2 in the division. They're only a game ahead of the Dolphins, so they obviously need to win for that reason as well. But if it comes down to tiebreakers in the division record, it's not looking good for them right now. So yeah, give me the Chiefs, Bills 6.5 point teaser.
All right, my next bet is going to be another running back prop. I love these. I don't know why. I'm like 50%.
I'm a quarterback guy. You're the running back guy.
No, it's I got to be hitting this at like 50%. To be honest with you, I can't tell. But my next one, it's a little bit different than the ones I've gone with in the past. I'm going Isaiah Pacheco over 67.5 rushing yards for the Chiefs. He has hit this total 3 out of the last 4, pretty much since he became the starter. And in the 4th game, he ended at 66. So I think Ricky's right. I think the Chiefs come out and try and make a statement. Mahomes kind of looked like he was sleepwalking last week for a little bit. So I think they get up big. I think they get up big early and then just kind of lean on their short passing game and running game to be able to just, milk that clock a little bit.
Yeah, just a quick fun fact for you guys at home where it'll lead perfectly into my bet because I didn't realize we became a Chiefs podcast this week. But we've got 3 Chiefs bets going out here into the world. But in the 2 games following a loss this year, the Kansas City Chiefs have scored 41 points against Tampa Bay, and they scored 44 against San Francisco after losing to Indianapolis and Buffalo. So with that being said, in those 2 games, Patrick Mahomes only has 2 touchdown passes in the last 2 games, but he had 6 touchdown passes in the both the games following a loss, 3 apiece. The line on this, the pick that I'm going with this week is absurd. It's absurd to me because it's a head-to-head on quarterback touchdown prop, right? So it's Patrick Mahomes minus 0.5 over Russell Wilson, which is only minus 140. Okay, so he has to beat Russell Wilson by one touchdown pass. Now, Mahomes has thrown one touchdown apiece in the last 2 weeks. Russell Wilson, that's more than Russell Wilson has had in the last 3 games combined. That's just 2 touchdown passes. Russell Wilson has 1 in the last 3 games. Look, Mahomes is going to go out here and throw 3 touchdown passes today. It's going to happen. Period. End of story. It's a lock. It's a lock for me, for him. And Russell Wilson might be lucky to throw 1. I don't understand why this line's at minus 140. It blows my mind, but I love it a lot. So that's Mahomes head-to-head minus 0.5 over Russell Wilson for touchdown pass. I feel like this number should be at like minus 250 because this is a lock for me. Like it was almost my lock, but I went back to the lock well again. So I don't know, man. Mahomes beating Wilson by 1 touchdown pass. Like I just feel like that's a no-brainer, especially this year. It's funny. Mahomes threw 6 touchdown passes following losses, and Russell Wilson has 8 on the entire year. Like, come on, man. God.
Yeah, I don't understand that line either. That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
because Russell Wilson, yeah, if he could figure out a way to throw negative touchdown passes, he probably would.
Exactly, man.
Anyway, I'm actually stealing one of Ricky's quarterback props for my next pick.
I almost bet this.
I'm going Jalen Hurts over 1.5 touchdown passes. I think that line is like minus 120 or something. He's thrown 2 touchdown passes in 6 out of his last 7 games. I don't know why the line is at 1.5, but this was very, very close to being my lock. The only reason it isn't is because, the Eagles have looked so good that you never know who's going to score or if he's going to run for 3 touchdowns or whatever. But I feel like over 1.5 touchdown passes for Jalen Hurts is as close to a lock as I could probably get without it being my lock.
Fun fact about I almost went to this pick, but I was like, I'll just differentiate. I'll stay in the same game, but Jalen Hurts is plus 100 minus 0.5 over Daniel Jones in touchdown passes. So just put that out there. So all he has to do is throw 1 more touchdown pass than Daniel Jones, and it's at plus money right now. I am going to stay in the same game, but I'm going to go back to a guy that did me well last week, and it was no surprise there, and that's A.J. Brown over 71.5 receiving yards. Look, back-to-back weeks, Lamb and McLaren both torched the secondary for over 100 yards. Brown is averaging 79 yards per game. I like him to start out strong. The Giants secondary is almost as bad, if not worse, than the Titans is this year in big plays. There's so many. It's crazy to me that I looked at this Eagles line. There's so many different picks that I really, really liked. Like AJ Brown's longest reception over 25.5. I almost picked that. Devontae Smith's over 22.5. I almost picked that because this secondary is one of the worst big play secondaries in all of football. So I think A.J. Brown might be able to get to this 71, which is actually 5 yards less than that last week. And I get why last week was a little bit higher. Again, it was a revenge game type of thing. But give me A.J. Brown over 71.5 yards easily today. I think he gets over 100. So what is your next play? I think we got, 2 plays left?
2 left. And Ricky probably won't like this one.
Look, yeah, I already know what it is, so I don't.
Trevor Lawrence isn't playing, right?
He's not?
I don't think so.
What?
I thought he was ruled out. I may be wrong on that. Either way, I don't think that the Jaguars are going to keep it close in this game. Give me the Titans minus 3.5. Give me a second.
Expect it to play. All right, I feel better about today.
Yeah, that doesn't change my pick at all. Titans minus 3.5. Vrabel got his GM fired, which is hilarious to me because he traded A.J. Brown and he didn't agree with it. And then A.J. Brown did what he did last week. And then John Robinson was out of a job. Anyway, Titans -3.5 at home against the Jaguars. I mean, basically Vegas is saying that the Titans are a half a point favorite, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I love the Jags. I think they've got a really bright future. I think at probably next year, the year after, they're going to have a long, hold on this division, with Trevor Lawrence getting older and ETN, finding his way even more. They have a lot of young stars on that offense that I think is going to benefit them well, but not this week.
Look, I am very anti Titans in this podcast, but I will say that they do, and Derrick Henry owns this team. Like, he's the actual owner of this football team. So I can't even really be mad at this pick. I can be, but I'm not going to. Oh man, is DJ Dallas going to play today?
He was questionable the last time I saw.
Son of a bitch. I was really hoping to be able to plug him in this week. God, our fucking team looks terrible. All right, so I was just hoping that, with Walker out, that he might play, but apparently he's a long shot to play too. But all right, so my next pick, look, speaking of going back to Wells, I lied. I'm going back to Well on another one, but this one's slightly different. And I already regret this pick. Give me all right. It's a Browns parlay. All right.
Oh boy.
Exactly. I already regret it. Give me the Browns over 1.5 total touchdowns for the entire game. Okay. Browns over 1.5 total touchdowns.
Do they have to be offensive touchdowns?
Nope. Touchdown.
Okay.
That's why we're changing the game up a little bit. And give me Chubb over 3.5 receiving yards. Browns over 1.5 touchdown passes. Or total touchdowns. Sorry. Browns over 1.5 total touchdowns. And Chubb over 3.5 receiving yards. Gets you at -130. When I tell you that there was a parlay that I made that I really like with the Browns this week, I hate myself for it. I think the Browns are going to win this football game. I'm not confident in that, in saying that. And I don't understand why I'm confident in the Browns at all, especially after last week. But I think the Browns win this football game. But with that being said, all I really need is 2 touchdowns and Chubb to catch 1 5-yard pass. So I really came close to using Chubb. I had Chubb at 60 yards on this one, but then the line went up in the parlay to 65. And then, not that I didn't feel confident in 65, I just felt like the 5 yards there really bugged me. So I really no, I don't want that. I had one with Cooper over 50 yards, and I think his went up to 55. Didn't like the move there either, even though I think Cooper probably gets that relatively easy. But then I saw Chubb. I feel like this is going to be a shootout, and if that's the case, Chubb's going to have to catch a pass or two. And when he does, he's pretty good. You know what I mean? God forbid they actually put the ball in the best player playmaker's hands there, but who knows? But if anybody's been following me so far, you know that I'm really enjoying these 2-leg style parlays of some sort with some funkiness inside of it. So just wait till next week when we have 10 picks apiece, and there's like 8 of those. So, but with that being said, it is time for our locks of the week. What do you got?
My lock of the week, we're going to try and get something going here because I've missed on like 6 straight or some shit. I don't know. My lock this week, we're going back to the Jets. Sometimes you have to go back in order to move forward. Jets plus 10.5 against the Bills. This line's huge.
Yeah.
The Bills, like Ricky said earlier, haven't looked great recently. I don't know if Josh Allen is just,
tired,
hurt or have lingering injuries or something, but 10.5 points against the Jets, who are actually a pretty good football team, seems like too much. I think the Bills probably win the football game, but I don't think they're winning by double digits by any means. Because the Jets actually have a pretty good defense. Sauce Gardner looks like a future star, and I think this ends up being, a 3-point game, maybe a 7-point game in the Bills' favor, but the Jets cover.
The thing about it is I don't like Mike White. So I really just want Mike White to throw 10 interceptions so that we can get Zach Daddy back, baby. That's look, this is a Jets podcast when Zach Daddy's quarterbacking. Okay, that's why this is a podcast that's focused on on that Jets team. But I, I don't hate it, as I mentioned earlier, with me getting the Bills at -3. I don't think this is a 10-point game by any stretch of the imagination. The Bills have a good the Jets have a good defense. But my lock of the week, we're going for it again. Second straight week, baby. We're going back to the team that for some ungodly reason is underdogs against a team that they are better than. I'm sorry, Lions fans. I understand you guys in an uproar because you think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread because you won a football game. You know what I mean? You beat the Jaguars. Let's calm down. I understand you've won 4 of your last 5 games. I get it. But last time these two teams played, the Vikings came back down 2 touchdowns, won the football game. I think the same thing's going to happen here. Look, though, there's no way. I don't care if they're at home. I don't care if they're playing in the middle of Europe or Jamaica. I don't care. There's no reason, absolutely zero reason why the Lions should be favorite here, folks, at home against the Vikings. You're telling me that they're saying because we're home dogs. You know what I mean? They're a better team. You're out of this mind. They're plus money on the money line. They're plus money on the money line, guys. I don't get it. Give me the Vikings +3. It's my lock of the week. Last week, lock of the week was the Vikings -2.5. We secured the bag. The week before that, I bet the Vikings on Thanksgiving Day. They secured the bag. We're going 3 straight on the Vikings money train. It's going to happen. It's a no-brainer. Lock it in. Let's win some money.
Wait, didn't the Vikings get blown out by the Cowboys on Thanksgiving?
No, they beat the Patriots. Remember, because I said that Monday they were favored by 2.5 or whatever. I said that's my lock. It was right. The game before Thanksgiving that they got blown out by the Cowboys, and they've won 2 straight since that game. So
you're right,
and that's about to be 3 because the Vikings are going to show everybody that the Lions are just what we know they are always to be. You know, they won 33-26 last week, 27-22 against the Jets, even though the Jets probably should have covered that 2.5, but we're not going to talk about that. The Vikings, it's funny, the Vikings like to sweat football games because every single win of their, I think it's like not 8 of their last, how many wins they have? I think they had 10 wins. I think 8 of their 10 wins have come by only 1 touchdown. So it's funny. Vikings +3. Like we do each and every week, I'm going to give Clarkson the floor. We're going to see what he's got to say again real quick out before we got the door about his picks of the week.
All right. First pick, DeAndre Swift, over 63.5 rushing and receiving yards. Like I said before, the Vikings defense stinks. DeAndre Swift looked like his old self last week. Just write it in, cash it. Texans, Cowboys, over 7.5 points in the first quarter. I like the Cowboys to hit this on their own. I think they come out big and they come out early and they come out and score some points. I don't think the Texans will contribute to this at all. But anyway, Texans, Cowboys over 7.5 in the first quarter. My next pick is another running back prop. Isaiah Pacheco over 67.5 rushing yards. He's hit this 3 out of the last 4 weeks since he became the starter. In the 4th game that he didn't hit, he was at 66 yards. So he's getting close or above this total every single week. My 4th pick, going to the QB well that Ricky usually lives in, is Jalen Hurts, over 1.5 touchdown passes. He's hit this in 6 out of his last 7 games. The only thing that really scares me is him, running the ball, but I think they hit this pretty easily. He could hit this in the first half. 5th pick, Titans, -3.5 at home against the Jaguars. I don't think the Jaguars are a very good football team. Yes, they're young. They're exciting. They've got a bright future ahead of them. But I just think the Titans are a better football team and by more than 3.5 points. And my lock of the week, let's get back on track, is going to be the Jets +10.5 against the Bills. The Bills are a better football team probably than the Jets. The Jets have a really good defense. I think they keep it close. And the Bills just really aren't blowing teams out anymore. It's been a long time since that game in week 2 where they beat the Titans 41-7. So give me Jets +10.5 as my lock.
You're going to go 5-1 this week, man. I'm very confident that you're going to go 5-1 this week, and that 1 is going to be my boys, the Jaguars, coming in there on them garbage ass Titans. You know what I mean? Then maybe they should realize they should have fired Vrabel too while they were at it.
Why would they fire the coach of the year, Ricky?
All right, there's a button I have that's able to kick him off the show right now, which was perfect for me going over my locks of the week, or my picks of the week. All right, so I got the Seahawks -3 against the Panthers. No brainer for me. I just think the Seahawks win. They win for the practice field dog. That's all I've got to say about that. AJ Brown over 71.5 receiving yards. I'm going back to this just because the Giants are the worst down the field team in all of football. If you're looking for some props to play with, look inside this football game. Not Justin Clarkson's over 1.5 touchdowns for Hurts, but Brown over 71.5 yards. I like him. His longest catch over 25.5 yards. There's a lot of different things you can play with in this game. Give me the 6.5 point teaser between the Chiefs and the Bills, where you get the Bills -3, Chiefs -2, get you at -130. Give me the Browns parlay over 1.5 total touchdowns, team total touchdowns. Chubb over 3.5 receiving yards, get that at -130. And then, of course, you have Mahomes -0.5 head-to-head versus Russell Wilson in touchdown passes. So basically, he has to have one more touchdown pass than Russell Wilson. After losses this season, Patrick Mahomes has thrown 6 touchdown passes, 3 in each game. I like them to come out and just blow the doors off the Broncos this week. My lock of the week is my lock of the week last week as well, but I'm coming back this week because it's the Vikings +3. I think that all the chatter of the Lions being all this, they should not be home favorites against a team that has 10 wins. And this is just a no-brainer lock for me this week. The Vikings +3. So that's my picks for the week. We're gonna go 11-1 this week because Clarkson decided to pick the Titans. So with all that being said, we will be back next week. Like I said, we are going 10 picks deep next week. Clarkson's about to have an aneurysm over it.
We'll get it figured out.
I didn't even prep him for that. I just decided to announce it. We've been talking about doing something like that for a while.
There wasn't any discussion about it. He just said week 15, we're doing 10 picks. So okay.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is I think it could be fun. It's going to be challenging for sure. But the one thing that I think both of us have found over the last couple of weeks is we have found some niches that we really like when it comes to betting. Obviously, Clarkson loves his running back props. I like me some quarterback props, but I've also started to dive deeper into, 2-team parlays. And then, of course, my quarterback head-to-head battles. I'm 1-1 of those so far. So this week's going to be 2-1. But I think it's just going to be something fun. Yeah, I'm excited about it, and go Jaguars. So make sure to head on over to Twitter and follow myself and Chris Clarkson at Chris Clarkson91. Follow me at Ricky Villar _ We're merging everything. Everything's getting under this one umbrella, the Drive-In Podcast on YouTube. So if you could do us a favor and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This probably won't go up as a podcast this week, only because the games start in approximately 3 hours, and you're probably not going to want to listen to this on Monday unless you want to make fun of us for the bad Titans pick. But other than that, I'm sure I'll have a couple of bad ones myself. I can't wait for the Browns to let me down 2 weeks in a row. But and then come back next week. Deshaun Watson over
half a touchdown pass.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be at -120 by week 17. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys next week.